Welcome to Rochambeau, the podcast about unique competitions, extraordinary events, and the people that make them happen. I'm Kim.
And I'm Ted. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you got to hear our last episode, which was on...
the Shy Diderot.
Oh, yeah, the Shy Diderot. I forgot how to say that word.
Chicago's
Chicago.
own Shy Diderot, which is a shopping cart race, 5 miles throughout the city streets of Chicago with people wearing amazing costumes and acting the fool. It's
and
fantastic.
Raising money for a great cause.
Yep, for food insecurity all across the greater Chicago area.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And if you haven't heard it, go back and check it out. And we recommend you use CastBox. We both use CastBox. We love it, and we're supported by CastBox. So go use them and check it out.
Yep, absolutely big fans. So today we have something new for you we want to try out.
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to call this Two Tales and a Talk. You
That's
like that?
I like that.
Yeah?
It's very illiterate.
So we have a couple of stories from Ted that he's going to tell us about. I'm not sure what they are yet, and I'm really excited to hear them. And then coming up also, we are going to have an interview with one of the coordinators of Baltimore's own Small Foods Party.
Awesome. This is a whole new way for us to do this, so let's see how it goes.
All right, sounds good. So, Ted, what do you have to tell me about?
All right. Well, today, Kim, I would like to tell you about the wonderful world of wormcharming.
Worms?
Worms.
Like
worms. Yeah, little worms, earthworms.
All right, what does that mean, worm charming?
Well, worm charming is the act or endeavor of trying to coax worms to come up out of the ground. Wikipedia says worm charming, worm grunting, or worm fiddling, these are all things you can call it, are methods of attracting earthworms from the ground. The activity is usually performed to collect bait for fishing, but can also take the form of a competitive sport.
Is it regional, like parts of the world that do this more than others?
Places with worms.
Which is everywhere, I would assume, right?
Are there worms in the desert? I don't know. But I know that they do in Texas for fishing, and they have competitions there, but also merry old England.
Of course
Those,
they do.
Bless their little hearts.
How does that competition work?
Well, in the town of Blackhoughton, which is a village in Devon, England, this is in the southern part of England, they hold the Blackhoughton International Festival of Wormcharming. Started back in 1983. 2 blokes left a bar. One of them was peeing on the ground, and a bunch of worms came up.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He figured he had a skill. He's like, I'm really good at this.
That's insane.
So he's like, let's start a competition. Well, that's how these things happen.
There's got to be other ways to get worms out of the ground.
Well, there are, and we'll get to that.
All right.
So the first competition was held in 1984 and soon became a very important part of the village and has grown every year since then. Used to be a grown-up events, but in 2005 they started adding an 11-year-old and under division.
May I pause you?
Sure.
So right now, all I'm visualizing is men peeing on the ground to get worms out. Could you go ahead and clarify or
Sure.
promise me at least that they're getting these worms in a different way as well?
Sure. Yeah. So there are many, many wonderful ways to get worms out of the ground.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. One popular method is banging on the ground with like a pitchfork and encouraging the worms to come up. So you put a pitchfork in the ground and you bang on the pitchfork, and the vibrations scare the worms, and they go, I'm going to go to the surface. It's safety up there.
Little do they know.
Little do they know.
They're going to end up on a fish hook.
Yeah, so people also beat drums. They put music, like speakers down on the ground. One lady even tap dances on a board.
So vibrations are a big deal.
Yeah. She tap dances to the Star Wars theme.
Oh.
She thinks that's a magic way to, but she's never won. But good for her for trying. Also,
May the force be with her.
Yes, exactly. Using liquids to get them up is a thing. As we mentioned, peeing is one. But you can't really do that in a festival.
No, good. I'm glad that's not part of the festival. So you are officially saying that.
Yes, I am officially saying
Wonderful.
that. Yes. But some people pour beer in the ground or sugar water or water. One thing is you can't use anything toxic. They don't want to hurt the worms, so no vinegar. And in order to kind of keep an eye on this, you have to take a swig of whatever liquid you want to pour on that ground. So
a judge walks by and is like, you're going to pour that on the ground? Drink it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like a good old-fashioned dare.
Yeah. But somehow urine still gets in there. I don't know.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Gross.
Ritz,
gross. So how does the competition break down? I'm going for quantity of worms?
You're going for quantity of worms,
okay.
Yes. The record was set in 1986 with 149 worms.
Wow.
Yeah. The lowest. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of charming. You got to be very charming for that. The lowest number of worms was 19. So...
for a winner.
For a winner.
Wow.
Yeah.
So something about, I guess, different years, there's more worms than others because this is the same location.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I wonder if the weather has something to do with it.
I bet. Yeah. And, the yearly weather, if it's a wet winter or whatever, happens in May over there. So, yeah, it could be if they had a wet winter. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So let me tell you a little more about the event.
Okay.
So here are the rules. Each team comprises of 3 members: a charmerer, a pickerer, and a counterer.
A pickerer?
A pickerer. That is actually how it's said.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and you can probably guess what those people do.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 charms.
1 picks.
And 1 counts.
Love it.
Yeah. No digging or forking around. You can't dig holes. You can't, skim off the top with a fork. No.
So you just have to coax them out.
You just charm them.
I love it.
Yep. And it's harder than it sounds because you got to wait till they come fully out. Because if you grab one too fast, it'll snap in half. Or if it's not all the way out, it'll snap in half.
Oh, yeah. And they don't seem to want to harm the worms.
No, you don't want to harm the worms. Those half worms don't count. So as I said, no harmful liquids to be poured on the plots. Teams get 5 minutes for warming up. No, wait. Teams get 5 minutes for warming up.
Warming up.
Yeah,
good one.
Yeah, I didn't write that one. And then 15 minutes for the actual worm charming. So I guess they can bounce around for 5 minutes and then they get to it. Any team or competitor caught cheating will be publicly humiliated and almost certainly disqualified.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples of how they humiliate people?
I do not, but I have an example of cheating.
Tell me.
One man came in there with his pants full of worms.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they fall out of his pant leg and on the ground. He's like, I've caught a worm. That is dedication. He was humiliated and disqualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, never to come back.
Good.
Yeah, good for him.
Who are these judges?
The judges are, there's a worm master. He presides over the whole festival.
Okay.
There's an official cheat, and he tempts entrants by offering them worms so that they can cheat.
Oh, I love it. So there's a little bit of cheating encouraged.
A little bit of cheating, but yeah, it's very vague. He's supposed to tempt you and you're not supposed to do it. There is Old Father Wormcharming. He offers advice and guidance to would-be worm charmers.
One of the judges.
And then there's the international judge who is the rule of law, all things to do with arbitration in the worm charming disputes.
Are there disputes?
I guess there has to be because there's a judge. Serious business over there. And finally, all worms must be returned to the ground after the competition.
And do they dig a hole for them or do they just plop them on top of the land and say, do your thing, worm?
Well, I did read they do it at night. So the birds don't get to them.
Oh, that's so smart. Right. So you mentioned it's a festival. Are there other festive things going on?
There are. So at the worm charming competition, they highly recommend fancy dress, as we love. And not only do the teams participate in the fancy dress, but the spectators participate in the fancy dress.
Oh my gosh, that's killer. Yeah. And is there a theme to this fancy dress or just they want fun, crazy costumes?
I have seen that there have been themes. Like one I saw was 70s medical night or something like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, that sounds very specific. But yeah, so there are themes.
Okay.
They give one award to the teams, and then they give a special prize to a spectator who has a good dress. So in addition to that competition, they also give so they have fancy dress competition, they have the worm charming competition, and they have the best name of the teams. Mm-hmm. And then outside of that, there's a beer fest.
Fun.
And there's music.
Awesome.
There's food. There's a dog show.
You mentioned that. What does that mean?
Well, there's a fancy dress award for dogs. There's partnership between dog and handler. There's an award for the most joyful dog.
Oh.
Award for the most beautiful eyes, the most wonderful ears, the most excellent coat, and the waggiest tail.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
I love it.
And out of all those winners, there's the best in show.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So you also mentioned that there's awards for the best team names.
Yes.
Can you hit me with some team names?
Yes, and they're not that funny. 69ers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Worm and the Wigglers.
I love that.
Stephen Hawking's football boot.
No, I don't. Why?
Cheeky Monkeys. Well, check this out. Cheeky Monkeys won one year. And they were the team was made up of 3 and 4 year olds.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and they beat all the adults.
They were. That wasn't the kid category.
No,
that was
they won the kid category. They won the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Worms like kids.
Yeah, I guess they picked 38 worms.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then the next year, another team called the Olympixies, who were also under 11s, they won that year with 102 worms. Beat all the adults.
Wow. It's so varied.
It's anyone's game, Kim. Whoever picks the most worms is the winner.
Charms, not picks,
Charmed,
right?
Charmed, yes. Whoever
Yes.
charms the most worms.
Love it.
Yeah. So I mentioned that. Oh, there's also donkey rides.
Oh, fun. Random.
Random. Yeah. There's dogs, there's donkeys, and there's worms.
What a fun event.
Yeah.
Are there
Totally.
prizes?
There is a trophy, and it looks like a worm.
Outstanding.
Yes. I think that's for the overall worm charming competition. For the fancy dress, I think you get a medal.
Right on.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little more about the town that it takes place in?
Well, Black Houghton is a small town in Devon, which is in the southern part of England.
Okay.
It's west of Dartmouth, which is not where the college is, I found out.
Good
Yep.
research.
Yep, thank you. And I think this is the biggest thing that happens there all year.
I love these small English towns.
Yep, that put on these crazy competitions. Now, this one happens every May, on May Day, the Sunday of May Day. I guess that's a bank holiday over there. And you know what's even more exciting than that?
What?
This is not the only British town that has a worm charming competition.
Really?
Yes.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
That's wonderful.
So as I was wrapping up my research on this one, I was looking at videos and stuff to watch the worm charming. And I discovered that there's a town called Williston in the northern part of England that has been doing this since 1980.
Wow.
So they actually doing it longer than Black Houghton. But I started with Black Houghton, so I went with them first.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
Yeah. Poetic license. Is that what it's called?
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? What the hell? Theirs is a little bit different, but not too much. They have 3 square meters to charm worms from. They have the world record for the most worms ever charmed.
How many?
567
Shut it.
by a 10-year-old girl.
That's insanity.
Kids have the magic touch.
What?
They are so
Do you
tuned
know
with
like
worms.
what she was doing?
No, I do not.
I hope she wasn't peeing.
Right. No, not either.
That's a lot of pee.
That's a lot of pee. Way too much pee for a 10-year-old girl to do.
No doubt.
But they also give a award for the largest specimen.
I love
The
that.
biggest worm. Yeah.
Do you know how large?
I do not know how large.
How large do you think? Like as big as my hand, my forearm, my leg, maybe my pinky.
Probably your pinky.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen the worms? I've seen worms outside my house that are literally like almost a foot long.
Yeah, I thought they were snakes.
Yeah. Really
Are they not?
thin snakes.
But are they snakes?
No, they're worms.
They really are
Yeah.
worms?
I can't believe they get that long. I don't know. I've never seen that before in my life.
Yeah, we're in Georgia. We're in the city though, in
Yeah.
Atlanta. And yeah, I see them in my yard too.
Yeah.
I just assumed they were snakes.
No. You know what we should do?
What?
We should find that 10-year-old girl who charmed the 567 worms, have her come over here, charm our worms, and we'll research them. Do you like worms? Are you a worm person?
I don't like worms.
Do you like dirt?
I don't like dirt.
Yeah. I'm okay with dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it. That's the most wholesome way to get dirty in England.
Love it.
The Black Houghton International Festival of Worm Charming takes place every May in Black Houghton, England.
It's time to parlay with the participants.
That's right. So with this new format, we still want to be able to incorporate an interview, make sure that you guys get to know some of these fantastic competitors and organizers. And so today I've got a great event to tell you about.
All right.
It's called the Small Foods Party. It takes place every February in Baltimore, and chefs from all over the city gather and create minuscule masterpieces. And when I say minuscule, I am talking tiny. Picture a taco the size of your thumbnail.
Really?
It's truly amazing, but I can't tell it as well as Autumn can. She's one of the organizers of the Small Foods Party. It's happening actually this coming weekend. So take it away, Autumn.
My name is Autumn Bro. I am one of the Small Foods organizers, a party occurring in Baltimore, Maryland. I have been an organizer of the event for the last 10 of its 14 years.
Wow, 14 years, and you've been along for a large part of that.
Yes.
So going back a little bit before you came on board, how did this get started?
So 14 years ago, a group of friends in Baltimore were just having a little hors d'oeuvres party near the holidays, and somebody decided it was a good idea to see who could make the best version of a tiny food for the hors d'oeuvres party. And then the party just grew and grew from there. They continued their event for several years just at people's houses. And then they started adding more people to the attendee list, and it sort of got out of control with respect to the venue. So then they moved to a larger venue, and the event just kept growing and growing. And now it's, lots of people we don't know, not just those core group of friends.
That's very cool, though. So let's talk about these tiny foods. Are they all supposed to be like representative of a different, larger food?
That's right. So one good example, actually, this example won our grand prize several years ago. A woman made pulled pork sandwiches on tiny biscuits. So she handmade these little biscuits. They were the size of a quarter each, halved them and filled them with pulled pork, and that was her entry.
The size of a quarter.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So we have people who take their entries to the extreme. I will sort of double back and tell you how you become an organizer of the event. You have to win the grand prize one year in order to become an organizer of the event. Anyone who's on the organizing committee has won grand prize in the past.
That's killer. Let's talk about yours.
I battered some oyster mushrooms. I was a vegetarian at the time, and deep fried those plus some potatoes I'd cut up into small chips. And we served that in a paper cone, as is the style I understand in the UK, as fish and chips. And we had tiny beer steins full of beer. So it was a complete meal in miniature.
That's amazing. Where did you get tiny beer steins?
The internet.
Oh, gosh, the internet.
You'd be amazed at how many tiny service items you can find on the internet. The competition is so stiff, and people bring their game. People bring teams of 12 people work together. People plan for months.
Wow.
It's kind of insane, the level that the competitors have reached. And small foods, again, could be anything from a tiny pulled pork sandwich, which is a very simple execution. It was just so delicious it won. To, we had several years ago, a group of people got together and made an assembly line of tiny meals served in red paper cartons with a little tiny soda on the side, complete with a lid and tiny straw, and they called them crappy meals. We have a woman who every single year, she totally just brings it. She's done a complete French bakery in miniature. Mind you, she baked all the breads herself, formed the croissants herself. She last year did an incredible tableau of tiny gingerbread houses, but she designed a scene for them, a snowy scene in which they sat, and that was her display on the table.
Can you tell everyone about the Chinese takeout?
Oh, yes. This was the winner last year, 2018. The group of people called themselves Panda Compress, and they made a complete takeout assembly. So they had tiny paper boxes with some sort of an Asian noodle dish. They had a little green tea station served in tiny cups. They had the thing that really, I think, stole everyone's hearts, though, was they handmade these tiny fortune cookies with fortunes inside, and the fortunes were so small that you really could not read them with your eyes without a magnifying glass. So, of course, they had a magnifying glass station set up there. And these are people we didn't... years ago, it used to be that people who would do well at the event were often friends of ours, but the event has sort of grown over the last number of years. And these are people I never knew. Nobody on our planning committee ever knew. They weren't friends of friends. One of the women on the team, I think she spearheaded the effort while in medical school, I will say.
Whoa.
She's a member of the museum, which is hosting us now, the AVAM, the American Visionary Art Museum. And she learned about it through their promotions. So the word's gotten out.
Wow. So approximately how many people participate each year?
So we typically have between, I'd say, 100 and 150 chefs, and those chefs will often work on teams together.
Wow. How long of an event is it? I mean, I would want to try them all. That's a lot.
Sure. We typically I think we probably average around 40 or 50 individual entries. And sampling occurs 7 p.m. until people run out of food, which actually happens really quickly. You can imagine tiny bits of food, they go very quickly. We encourage our chefs to plan for 300 individual units, which is a lot of work. I know it's asking a lot.
Wow.
So depending on how they pace, their distribution, typically we have food for maybe an hour and a half. If things are planned and executed moderately, so that all the food doesn't go at once. But we close judging now, I think this year, maybe 2 hours after the event opens.
Right on. And who are your judges and what are they basing their criteria on?
Last year, we implemented an electronic judging system because we used to be, the organizing committee used to be the judges, and it was so hard because you have to first categorize every entry into one of our, I think we have 7 categories now. We added a couple last year. And then present the top 3. We have to decide and agree on the top 3 in each category, and then present those 3 to the audience, and then the audience chooses their favorite by applause. You can imagine as the events got bigger, that's gotten much harder to do. So now the attendees are the judges. So we have an electronic judging system that one of our organizers developed, and it makes for a much smoother night. And the applausometer, you may be asking, well, how do you tell if that applause was good? So we have a man on our organizing committee who developed an applausometer. He's a programmer, and he developed an applausometer for us so that we can be completely objective.
That's fantastic. And so what are these guys competing for? What are the prizes?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So each individual category has a trophy, which is designed and prepared by the winners of the previous year's event. So this year, Panda Compress are getting together and designing and making the trophies for each category. And one team will be chosen from the category winners for the grand prize. And the grand prize really is what everyone covets, not only because you get the opportunity to help us organize, but you win a giant can of mini corn, which the same giant can of mini corn has been in circulation for now 14 years. And it is embellished every year with some sort of design or something glued to it, stuck to it, built upon it. It's looked a lot of different ways over the years. And again, Panda Compress will create some design with that giant can of mini corn. But I will tell you, you may be worried. What about what happens to a giant can of mini corn, which is sat on the shelf for 14 years? But a number of years ago, one of our very sensible winners, the grand prize winners, drained the can of corn. So now it's empty.
Genius.
But it's still the original actual can of corn. And in addition to that, we have an amazing assembly of sponsors every year. People within our community donate gift certificates to restaurants, to breweries, to hair salons. We have a soap company this year. So we have a giant batch of swag, and we distribute that to the category and grand prize winners as we're able. Everybody goes home with something really sweet, depending on, how we distribute the prizes.
That is amazing. One thing that I'm so shocked, I think I'm reading this right. If I wanted to go as a non-competitor, is it $15? Is that it?
It is. Yes, $15.
That's nothing. Oh my gosh. And then I still get to sample all that little food. What a great evening.
I always warn people, though, don't come hungry.
Right.
From my experience, going home full on a variety of tiny foods is one of the strangest sensations you can have because you're eating sweet stuff and savory stuff. A number of years ago, we had a group, they did a presentation based on the series Hannibal, which I'm told is about Hannibal Lecter.
It's a great series.
And I heard this, and they were devotees. They had costumes like blood-spattered aprons. Like, it was beautiful what they did. And they actually incorporated food-grade blood into their entry. Like, you may eat all sorts of strange things if you're open to it.
Oh my gosh. And this benefits a charity, right?
That's right. Yeah. A number of years ago, we decided that we would take the next step and make it into a fundraiser for one of our favorite local charities, which is called Movable Feast. And Movable Feast delivers meals and provides transportation aid to folks living with chronic or terminal illness.
That is wonderful. Gosh, this competition / celebration hits all of our favorite notes. This sounds like an amazing event. I wish I was in Baltimore this weekend.
I do too. We'd love to see you.
Maybe next year, but for folks who are in Baltimore, this is happening this Saturday. It'll be February 16th. Are there tickets sold at the door, or should they be buying them online?
They should buy them online as soon as possible. I'll say right now we're sold out, but we do plan to release another bolus of tickets. We like to make sure that our chef to attendee ratio is appropriate for, everybody going home reasonably strangely full. So we wait until we have enough chefs to release another bolus of tickets. So you can stay tuned to our Facebook page for an announcement of that ticket release.
And what is your website and Facebook page if people want to find you?
The Facebook page is Small Foods Party, and our website is smallfoodsparty.com.
Autumn, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Of course. Thank you for reaching out, Kim.
Wow. That's amazing. I want to go to that.
It's a good one.
Yeah. The craftsmanship, you showed me the picture of the little Chinese takeout.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
People, what can't they do?
Right?
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about the two-legged horse world championships.
I don't understand what those words mean together.
What do you think of when I say two-legged horse?
I think of a horse dressed in a suit, wearing like pants, standing up on his hind legs. What do you think of?
I can see that. He's probably a lawyer. Like, wow.
Exactly. No, he's definitely wearing glasses.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yes, sir. I do believe that's correct. Yes.
Nay, not true.
Nay. Well, nay, Kim, that is not what this is.
What is it?
This is people.
Huh?
People.
Okay.
People are two-legged horses.
Is it
People
a costume thing?
Some costuming, but they act as horses.
Do tell.
They prance, they trot, they gallop. They do all the horse things. The competition is people who are using a hobby horse.
What is a hobby horse?
Hobby horse is also known as a stick horse. Like a broomstick with a horse head on it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, these are adults running around with stick horses doing horse dances. In fancy dress, they jump and they neigh and they prance. And it's French.
And it's French.
It's French.
That just like classed it up 100%.
It really did. Yes. So
Wow.
It's called, the official title, and I'm going to slaughter this French, is Championnat du Monde du Cheval à Two Pattes.
That's fantastic.
Which translates as the World Championship of Horse with Two Legs. That's the poor translation. Or Two-Legged World Horse Championship. I don't know which it is, but it's a bunch of people running around as horses. Yeah.
Wow, with a stick between their legs and a horse head at the end of the stick.
Right. This is the very first year it's happened.
Oh, okay.
Yep. This is the first two-legged horse world championship. It was held at the Bocage aux Herbers, which is an equestrian park in Herbers, France. I'm probably saying that wrong. It's Herbiers.
So there were real horses watching this?
Yes. Yeah,
Awesome.
I didn't think about that part. Yeah.
That is so awesome.
The horses are watching like, do we really look like that? That's just silly. What are they doing over there?
Can you do that, Bob?
No.
I should try that later.
So the inaugural event brought 50 teams from around Europe. Nay, from around the world.
Oh, good one.
Yes, thank you. These teams were in fancy dress.
When you say fancy dress, for our one listener who doesn't know yet,
Right.
that is Rochambeau code for costumes.
For costumes,
Because
yes.
in our very first episode, we found out that in England, that's what they call costumes.
Yeah, and I believe in France as well.
Oh, fancy dress.
They were calling it fancy dress here. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what is fancy dress for a two-legged horse thing? Are they dressing like horses or other things?
Some people, there's a bunch of teams, right? 50 teams. It looked like they had between 6 and 7 people. I'm not sure exactly how many people, but the team would be dressed as a theme. So I saw one that was clowns, one that was Scottish guards.
So clowns riding horses.
Clowns riding horses.
Wow.
Right. Of course, there was cowboys and Indians. There was, just a typical equestrian attire with the black hat and the nicely dressed.
Yep.
There's like a medical team. Yeah, so all sorts of
That's
Right.
weird.
Right.
Like doctors and nurses
yeah,
riding hobby horses.
riding hobby horses.
Wow.
Yeah. So like I said, there were scuba divers too,
Huh.
and carrots and fish and inmates. These are what I recall. So at the event there are dressage. Dressage is, as you may know, the highest expression of horse training, where horse and rider are expected to perform from memory a series of predetermined movements. So there is prancing, there's skipping, there's high stepping, there's trotting, there's galloping, there's the side walking thing. The horse people out there are rolling their eyes at me right now, I'm sure, because they know what I'm talking about, but I'm slaughtering it. It's very impressive when the horses do it, and it's quite impressive when the two-legged horses do it as well. In addition to dressage, I think dressage is the big one. It's all synchronized, right? So the 6 people are doing this thing together around they're actually in a horse corral inside of a equestrian stable thing.
Wow.
Yeah, you look stunned.
I am. I am so rarely speechless.
This is the first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do dressage, and I think it's like a 3-minute thing for each team. There's also jumping. So there's different heights of barriers to jump over on your hobby horse. I saw only one person did it at a time. It looked like some of them were low, like about a foot, 2 foot high, and I think there was maybe a high jump thing. But one of maybe the most entertaining is the neighing competition. These people really get into it. Like I watched a couple of videos, and people, their heads are shaking, their lips are flapped, they're men and women. Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
All right, people, check it out. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. There's one guy who does it in they show him doing it in slow-mo, and his lips are flapping. And again, the horses are watching this going, do we sound like that? That's kind of silly. So the event celebrates spirit, creativity, humor, and family.
And what?
Family.
How?
Because there's a lot of kids there watching it.
That does not mean that it celebrates family.
Hey, that's what the video said. So I'm going with it.
All right.
All right. So you may be wondering where this came from. I can see that in your eyes. Mm-hmm. You're looking at me like, where did this come from, Ted?
Why?
Tell me about the origins.
I think the word why is just swirling around in my head a lot.
Well, I'm going to take a guess here and say that they stole this idea, borrowed it, or were paying homage to Finland. Because in Finland, it is a really large trend right now of young women mostly doing hobby horses. They have their own competitions, but recent estimates say as many as 10,000 youths are into hobby horsing.
Wow.
Yeah, 10,000 young ladies they make their own horses, so they learn the craftsmanship of that, the sewing and that. They enjoy the athletic portion of it, right? I even read about people like would go out into the woods with their hobby horse and prance around, and it's a good stress reliever and good exercise. It's
That's
like a big
great.
thing. Yeah,
That's
it's awesome.
just great.
Yeah, they have this thing. That's great. It's wonderful. They also have competitions. At their last competition in 2017, the last one I saw anyways, they had 200 participants. Yeah, so it's big over there.
Yeah, and I'm assuming spectators come and watch?
Yeah, for sure. Sure, very supportive by the family and friends and all that. Really cool.
Neat.
So, hobby horsing, 2-legged horses. There you have it.
Very cool. Good find, Ted.
Thank you. I thought you'd enjoy that one.
All
This
right.
is one people you can do at home.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Go find a broom, prance around, send us a video. we would love to see that.
Yes, please.
Yes. So we hope you like this new format. We're trying it out. If you like it, let us know at rosechambeaupodcast.com. You can drop us an email there, which is rosechambeaupodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, it is.
Or our social media, Instagram and Facebook, Rochambeau Podcast on both of those suckers. And that's what we have for this week.
Fantastic. Thank you to Cadillac Jones for letting us use your music. Thank you to Autumn for taking the time to chat with us about the Small Foods Party.
And thank you to the internet for giving me this information. Oh, and we still are doing the World's Funniest Laugh competition. More details to come shortly, but people out there, get ready. Get ready with your best laugh.
Fabulous. Till next time, people.
Goodbye.
right, what does that mean, worm charming?
Well, worm charming is... What the heck is worm charming, you ask?
Sure.
Sure, because that's what my script says.